CO, hello, I am Cade Thomas, and welcome to Double Feature Movie Club. This is our 37th episode, and we're talking two indie sci-fi movies, kind of lo-fi sci-fi as we build it, both from 2013, Under the Skin and Upstream Color. I am joined in person this week with my co-host, Harrison, and our guest this week, Spencer Plumlee.
Hello.
Hello. Thanks for having us.
Oh, no problem.
I appreciate being abducted and brought to your show, okay?
Oh, I like that. Yeah. Did you enjoy the worms?
I mean, so yes, they were delicious. Really a delicacy. I don't know where you picked up that talent, Cade, but you cook
my
worms.
face is pure sun. I don't know.
So I can't even look at you right now. I can't look at you.
I've never
right now.
Yeah, there's I've never.
Water you're drinking, Harrison, is the most.
That's why I didn't take what you offered.
Yeah,
the cookie
delicious
wow
thing you've ever.
Wow,
had.
Most delicious one. I need another drink. I don't know about you guys.
That's too much. Remember, it's only like that much water
right.
at a time. No.
The wall's crumbling.
So Spencer's our guest this week. So everyone, Spencer Plumlee is an artist here in Tulsa, visual artist, painter. You can follow her at Spencer_Plumlee, right?
Spencer.Plumlee.
Dot.
At Instagram or www.spencerplumleeart.com for my website.
Yes. And I love your work. And I sent
Thank
the
you.
link over to Harrison to look at before, so he was aware of your work. They're very colorful. It's very, it's a unique style.
I would say I am now aware of your work.
Thank you for looking. Yes, I try to make work that acts as time capsules and just capture what's around me, but not be so like obedient to realism in any way, really. So that's kind of what I make work for.
Yeah. It's very vibrant. I mean, like, how did you settle upon that color palette like that?
It started off with a lot of restrictive color palettes. So for a long time I didn't use white or black paint, just because I wanted to be like a hard ass essentially. But and it just evolved into just more and more restrictive things, only using blue and yellow and red, and trying to just find really vibrant and contrasting color combinations that are just more exciting than realism.
And now she no longer uses paint. That restrictive.
Now I just eat it. No. No, but yeah, I went back to using white paint, and I realized that I didn't know how to use it after not using it for so long. And so I was like, why am I restricting myself when it's become its own challenge again at the same time? And so now I'm back into using it and eating it as well. Yeah. No, I'm just kidding. Just kidding.
Without a good flavor, is it really even art?
If you can't eat it, is it art? No. I don't know. Do you ever look at like a painting and you're like, wow, I really want to scrape that with my teeth?
Man, I wish it was scratch instead.
No. Yeah. But yeah.
I mean, the texture is interesting. So
Right.
Yeah. I can see it. Sure.
You know.
Oh, yes,
Maybe that's just a painter thing to say. I don't know. Never mind. No.
Yeah. So what do you do? Do you sketch them out before? Do you do it all live painting with the?
I try to make it all observational as much as I can. Sometimes I work from photos that I've taken myself, but I do a lot of live paintings now, and so it's all just like on site, just seeing what I come across and trying to make a good composition out of it. And whoever walks by slow enough, can get can get painted too. And that kind of goes into that like observational time capsule concept thing. So that's why I try to do mostly observational.
So do you just keep like canvas around ready for?
Yeah, I have them like all the time in my van, and just I'll just.
Do people just ever walk by and they're like, well, I was going someplace, but now I'm being painted, so I think I'll just stick around.
Yes, like especially when I've live painted at Thelma's Peach. I don't know if you guys have been there. I'll have people just like slowly like sit directly in front of me and just kind of like look back and forth, and I'm like, I will get you eventually. It's like a game of who can wait it out the longest, but it's been fun. It's cool.
I attract lions, thank you. Did you say it was at a place called Velma's Peach?
Thelma's, like TH.
Thelma. Okay.
Thelma's Peach.
At first I was like, is this a is this a funny Scooby-Doo reference?
I mean, no. But
Where's that at?
it's a newer bar. It's right by Admiral, Bill's Hamburgers, Ziegler's, Heirloom,
Okay.
all that like strip right there.
Yep.
Okay.
Yeah, it's
Okay.
newer. They have a lot of like poetry events, like painting events, cabaret, musical. Right tonight, I think they're doing a film festival of Tulsa music artists.
Oh,
So very akin, you know.
interesting.
But yeah.
Do you just hang around there?
Yeah, it's cool. They asked me to come back, and I'm like, okay. You want me to paint again?
So,
But yeah.
near there, I think there's like a girls painting or art school
Yeah.
of some kind.
Tulsa Girls Art School.
Yeah, and it seemed really cool.
Yeah, I have a friend that teaches there, and she really enjoys it. I think it's technically like an after school program, or they have like some partner programs, I think, with other surrounding schools. But she really enjoys it, and she has a lot of good fun with it, I think.
And you're really in tune with the Tulsa art scene and all that. Yeah.
I try.
Yeah.
Yeah, I try. I really try. Yeah, but it's fun. It's fun to have seen it grow just so much since I've been out in the world. And
Or real.
yeah, it's weird. It's weird, but it's exciting. I think Tulsa is a great scene. I think a lot of people don't realize how amazing the art scene is and how it continues to grow. And yeah, it's just exciting to see it.
I'd say it's seen like really sprung up in like the early 2010s, and it got cooler and cooler and cooler until I wasn't cool anymore. And I was like, gotta find a new scene. But no, in all honesty, like I wasn't the biggest fan in 2019, but then nowadays, like 2023, I'm waking up, I'm like, okay, Tulsa's still kind of cool. All right, I'll give it some credit. Sure.
It surprises you, I feel like.
It does.
Like all the time. It surprises me all the time.
Mostly it's the people.
Yeah. Everyone's just really excited and wants to be involved. And it feels like a lot of times it comes from a really genuine place. And so it makes events really fun to be around, even if you are introverted or all of those things.
Yes.
So what's the scene that you hang around now, Harrison?
Yeah. Do you make art?
I want to know the scene that he's discovered now.
Do you make art?
Do I make art?
Keyboards.
Nope.
Keyboard art.
Nope.
No, you don't have to.
He makes things.
Writing is like a tertiary art. It's like, yeah, it's sort of ish. Sometimes
That counts. That definitely counts. I don't think that's tertiary at all, honestly. I think that counts.
Well, thank you.
Do you make any of your own, like original, like short stories, poems, whatever?
Tulsa Zine Fest was fun for like a year or two. I think it only lasted like a year or two. But yeah, no, there's some cool zines and zine makers and poetry outfits. People from like Kansas City and Austin and stuff came to Tulsa, and so overall, like, there's not a big literary community in Tulsa, but it's tight knit, so it works out okay. I've made a couple of pretty good friends through that arena.
Very cool.
You do 3D printing and stuff, and
well,
Yeah,
that counts. Come on.
I've done some 3D like CAD modeling of just silly stuff like computer keyboards, and 3D printing is fun too.
Very cool. Have you been to the Sundays in the Studio events that happen over there, still on Admiral?
No, I should.
Poetry events. People read like excerpts from short stories. They have just like an open call for whoever wants to come up. It's fun.
Yeah. Yeah. It reminds me of like the Moth podcast where like, people just show up and read their own short stories, and they're usually really funny. So.
It's fun. It's like an open mic situation, you know?
Yeah. I need to get more involved too. I've wanted to and everything, but I don't know. Finding time and all that.
For sure.
Yeah.
Cade makes his own fun.
I have these 2 podcasts and and I don't know, all the video stuff I work on. Yeah, no, but I do need to get more involved. I do think so. And I don't know. I love seeing how involved you are with everything.
Thanks. I don't really know how it happened. I just woke up and I was like, oh, my calendar's full. What happened? But
I started talking while I was painting.
I know.
What was I thinking?
It really does snowball.
I accepted that invitation. Those losers, man.
No, I think it boils down that I'm kind of a yes man, but it works out, and it like leads me to all these fun things that I otherwise wouldn't have found, by not being a yes man in certain capacities. So it's fun, and a lot, like as I go on, I make friends, like you were saying, and it's fun to support them as well as all their stuff grows.
It's fun to be a total doormat on occasion.
It works, Yeah.
Well, we have movies to talk about
Yes.
here. Just had to say.
You're in for a treat, everybody.
We do not know, as always, we do not know how we all feel about these movies. We have not made anything, despite Harrison's attempts just to talk about it. We have not shown our cards yet.
I'm sorry about my impulse control.
So it's they'll be exciting. So the two films we're talking about are two science fiction movies. They are Under the Skin and Upstream Color. First, we'll start with Under the Skin. Harrison will give the deep plot of that movie, beat for beat, and then we will launch into our discussion.
For an hour and 20 minutes. Beat to beat. Here we go.
Open on. Okay, after this short little musical interlude.
White van.
You're on, Harrison.
I am. Well, what can I say? Under the Skin really gets under your skin, doesn't it? So this is a movie about a purported extraterrestrial mutant kind of creature played by Scarlett Johansson, who happens to be aided by a mysterious man on a motorcycle who never speaks a word. Scarlett Johansson takes the delicious trope of abducting people in white vans and takes it to the Scottish city side and countryside, where she dresses up and looks like a very pretty, really human female. Thing is, the movie kind of opens on this insane droning shot, just like pure like white, and Scarlett Johansson's making these syllables and letter sounds to like practice becoming human. Like you can tell from the very beginning, like something very alienating or very like outside of human experience is happening to start out with. Anyways, Scarlett is a very good predator. She goes out and she really overachieves and brings man after man back to this absolutely dark black cube area where she starts stripping, they start stripping, she walks out, and they sink into this abyss of a trap of some sorts. Until, there's some highlights along the way, like, I don't know, watching the absolute devastation of a Scottish family thanks to the family dog. And then Scarlett adds a cherry on the top to that scene by taking a young Czech diver who is going out to save the family. He rescues the man, and he's like panting and like almost completely out of breath and just like gave his all to save somebody. And Scarlett just like walks up behind him and just cracks him in the back of the head. That's the kind of predator we're dealing with here. Anyways.
It's brutal.
It is. And then it goes on from there, right here.
It goes on from there. Scarlett really like leans into this, I'm wearing human skin. I'm really empathizing with another human. And that finally, whenever she meets somebody she seems to crack internally. I've never seen. This is getting into my opinion, but we'll get there. I'll keep on going. Yeah. She runs out into the Scottish countryside, all foggy and stuff, hops on a bus, is accosted by like man after man, finally meets a Prince Charming. He like lifts her up and like carries her over a puddle and all this other stereotypical crap. And ends up where she's lost in the woods, and yeah, some terrible things happen. I won't give away every spoiler, but yeah, that's basically it.
Mm-hmm. That's under the skin.
That's under the skin. So yeah.
Yeah. Okay. So what, Spencer? What did you think about this movie?
I really enjoyed it. I think it was scary in ways that I didn't expect it to be, and just kind of unnerving in a lot of just unexpected ways. And I like that they kept a lot of things unsaid as far as just how like what the operation was maybe for the two, the man on the bike and her, and also just the mechanics of how she found any abandoned place to bring these men into and make it like a giant black void of liquid, and just how the ship, I don't know if it was the ship, but I guess I assigned it to be the ship. It cannibalizes the people that comes in, and the special effects were just amazing, incredible, you know. But even like I feel like it combines such a wonderful special effects catalog within the movie, but also almost like a found footage when she would approach the men coming into the van. So there was just a perfect combination of very real and very not real, and out of what you were saying, out of this human experience, that really just made a wonderful kind of quiet gem of a sci-fi movie.
Yeah, I agree. So also, if you haven't seen the movie, it uses a lot of non-actors, people who are, and so when she's out in the real world, it's a lot of real people.
At a certain point, they sign the NDA.
But we don't see it. We don't see it.
And then, like, they're coached into like later scenes. But yeah, to start out, they are fresh. You know, just
and so they rig this van with like 5 cameras, and just have Scarlett Johansson like just driving around. Yeah, like
oh my god.
Just driving around Scotland, just like
chilling.
So yeah, and then like just interviewing these men who are just like you have a family, yeah, that's what
where do you
she's
stay?
doing. Yeah.
There are some movies out there where you kind of go, okay, this is greater than the sum of its parts, and with this movie, it almost feels like the opposite, where the parts like outshine the whole. To me, like the story, there almost was no story. Like you never were like, what am I supposed to be keeping track of here? It's always the same conceit. It's always, okay, there's somebody else who Scarlett Johansson is now going to track down and eventually kill. And like every single time you get that like 2-beat sort of musical tone to know, okay, yeah, that's some predation's gonna happen again. So in that sense, like
it does slowly change.
Yeah. And I think a part of me wants to say it changes for the better, and that like giving empathy to this completely alien character is like a bold move to make as far as like a story goes. But then it's accompanied with some like pretty stock kind of movie. Okay, this is how a movie is supposed to climax, and here's the denouement, and you're like, okay, you're back to like standard. What? It was so weird and interesting for so long, and now it's like, all right, I get the story. All right. But
yeah. No, I mean, I get that. I mean, I do think it kind of it's an interesting, like you're saying, like a combination of different things.
Yeah.
Like it's like the interior, this void is so like choreographed and everything, and so specific. And then when she's out in the real world, it's so sort of naturalistic and like with these like spy cameras almost, like, and it's like, and everyone's like they're not acting. These other people are not because they're non-actors, and so it is this weird sort of it plays with your mind a little bit about like the lines between what's a movie and what's not.
The cinematography is so good and so surreal, and it like to have like a minute and a half worth of footage of just Scarlett Johansson taking a bite of cake, like just a slow motion shot, like going up to like, I'm gonna devour this delicious cake, and then just like cuts to a wide angle scene of her just like retching it up. There are so many like brilliantly shot scenes in this movie. It's astounding how many there are. For it to be the story that it was, I'm kind of amazed at just how, like, everything from what was under the skin to that chocolate cake scene, to her like stealing a woman's clothes at the very start against this like, it's so like cinema. That leads me into like the performance by Scarlett Johansson, which is just like. Did she win awards for that performance? Because
I hope so.
it's people have called it one of her career best performances. But I don't know if she
really
won anything for it. Because I mean, it was kind of a flop.
Yeah,
it was.
No doubt.
It was a big flop. But later, people have sort of discovered it and sort of said that it was it's an excellent performance.
Yeah, it's absolutely engrossing, and like I've been a fan of her ever since she did Ghost World, and now she's done a million things since then. But
it reminds me of her performance in Lucy, kind of, where it just eventually just becomes so like an emotionless kind of, I guess, skin suit, of like the experience of being a person. And I don't know, I felt like very similar and familiar acting in this too.
Yeah. And it's an incredibly good subversive movie too. And that it's just like taking all of these just shots of like her perspective in the van, just like, oh, it's this solitary dude. Oh, this solitary dude. And it's just like this person after person after person, just like, who's my next victim? It's so,
And she doesn't exactly, I mean, because she's alien, she doesn't exactly know what's happening around her. And I just love that shot of her pulling into, like, there's obviously some sort of sporting events happen.
Yes.
She's right in the middle. Me, every time I drive in a city in which a sporting event's happening, I'm like, what's happening? Oh, I did not know this was a thing, but everyone on planet Earth seemed to know it was.
Cade gets dragged along by like a stag party or a chick stag party, and
Yeah. Oh, if we want to talk about that was one of the things that did take me out of the movie is do you know what the song was at the club? That plays in the. Yeah.
No, I know. Why did they do Sandstorm?
Yes.
Why was it Sandstorm?
I forgot it was that.
Yes.
Oh my god.
Which is a very famous internet thing, of course. Of people ask what
horrendous
European club music.
What song is that? And everyone derubes Sandstorm.
Yep.
But yeah, that's the music that they decide they choose for that.
The only way they could have made it any worse is if they did Never Gonna Give You Up.
Both equally scary when you're being hunted by Scarlett Johansson.
True.
I like that it was very just kind of about like experiential kind of, I don't know, the way in which they made the film. It just felt like we were exploring the world with her, even if we didn't have the same intentions as her. But just, I don't know, I like the way they did that. And it was kind of slow and organic build up, like you said, to the eventual kind of movie, climax, end, whatever.
Yeah.
But it kept me on my toes, I think, because I just was waiting for her to discover more things about humanity, and just kind of like a reflection of that within her, and being the lifeless like reflection, and just seeing all the different people that she came across.
Yep. Very creative use of lamp in that movie as well.
I found each like of the people that she encounters to be also very interesting, of like what they sort of have her learn and everything. Like each one was interesting.
Yeah. And really, unlike Rick Astley, Scarlett Johansson's character is a stranger to love.
Yes. And cake.
Yeah.
And cake.
And I liked how we almost got like a glimpse, like a snapshot of the spectrum of good and bad humans, throughout the entire thing, reflected in her. And I like that they did that it wasn't just all her being a predator. There was other predators too.
Oh, yes.
So yeah.
Yeah. Well, when they're trying to like break into her van and she's like just completely doesn't understand what's going on.
Yep. It's like all I have to do is press the acceleration pedal. I mean, what? This is a van. Right. Excuse me, sir? Do you think I'm intimidated by you?
Right.
I can just confused.
Just no fear.
I can just go into reverse. Peace. What's up?
Yeah, no, I mean, yeah, and then not really knowing sort of what the motorcyclist either is like that was.
I like that part of the movie. Like, I appreciate this. There's so much that's unresolved in the film, and like what happens to the guy who has the deformed face and like gets knocked in the back of the head, and
that's such a good character too.
It really is. He just like ends up in a trunk. And that's the last we see him.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, one of the most haunting effects was when they're underwater and that the
skin suit.
Yeah.
Yes.
I think I let an audible gasp when that happened.
I did too. Yeah. I almost want to go back and like frame by frame see what that kind of implosion looked like on whatever CGI. I don't know what they use. Mixed practical effects. CGI is usually the case. But it was just so arresting and so shocked. Like you have no idea what's going to happen after they like hold hands.
Yeah.
And this like shriveled up wreck looking person just.
Yeah. It's like all the inside seems to be taken out, or that's the way I understand it. It's just the skin that's left.
It's
dehydrating. Into the ship or whatever it is.
Oh, somebody sprinkled salt on the slug. There are very few ways cinematically that I can think of that are better. And this, again, it's a part that's just like soaring over the sum. There are a few more visceral and more direct ways of being like, this is how prey is in nature. Like this is you could be instantly hunted and then you're
yeah and especially like with her in the forest at the end, I feel like was a great representation of that too, literally running in the forest away.
Or like a spider just like catching its prey and then like
liquefying its insides.
Yep.
One of the things that it did leave me into a rabbit hole was looking up this film of like, so she finds refuge in this, what I guess they're called Scottish bothies. And I had never really knew anything. And then I read all these articles about these buildings that are uninhabited, that exists within the Scottish Highlands and elsewhere in the world. But that's primarily the words used for in the Scottish Highlands, where people can like stay there for like a night. Like they're uninhabited. They can't have electricity. They can't have like running water. They're just places where people to like seek refuge.
It's like shelter.
Like hostels almost.
But it's like but there's like rules to them, like from Scotland of like you can't have like you can only be like, it's a small amount of people can stay there, and it's like only for an incredibly limited amount of time. It's just for like passing through people. It's for people to have a place to.
It's Scottish glamping.
Yeah.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah. So I don't know. I was like, what is this? Like, so yeah. And so it led into this whole, so that's an interesting thing. I just never knew anything about.
I just thought it was an abandoned place. She
Yeah.
found, or something. I wasn't sure. Didn't know there was a system.
There is a whole system, and there's rules and laws to how they're supposed to like leave it once, like it. So yeah, it's a whole thing. It is a system.
I think they did a great job of showing Scotland,
Yes.
and just like the green rolling hills and just the people too. I think they did a great like snapshot again of the people and the
and
culture.
all their ramshackle glory.
Yeah. The club scene reminded me of a Fright Night kind of, in a sense, where you're being hunted within like a giant club surrounded by people and familiar music, but it's like a scary tinge to it, and you don't really know what's going to happen. And
Yep.
I don't know, just another good horror movie reference, I guess. I feel like it rode the line between horror and just suspense sci-fi, really nicely throughout the entire thing.
I agree.
It's just like slice of life too, like of just like watching these people, like because she's just watching these people live, and so you get like a snapshot of that too. So it's like, and that's not like scary, but then like when you think of like this,
it's funny that you say it like that, because slice of life as a genre usually is just like people doing normal stuff that's kind of fun together, and like
Turns it on
honestly,
context,
it fits the conceit of the genre so well. Like, this is her just observing humanity. It's just she also happens to be a super predator,
right?
This is how a super predator would normally interact with a young couple who's drowning in the Scottish seas.
Right, yes.
And their would-be rescuer, she just would bash him in the head and
wait till he's exhausted.
drag him back, and yep.
I love the music. Was another one. I know that some people might not like them. It's very ethereal. It's also kind of industrial at times. Like they had like those violin pluckings of like an X-Files that this was very kind of Mark Snow almost. But yeah, it's
does the soundtrack include Darude Sandstorm? Is my question.
It's odd. That is the only musical drop in the entire thing.
In all honesty, it's been a long time since I've heard a soundtrack that served the intent of the film that well. Like, just that 2-note, I don't know what it is, like not a bongo, but like some kind of musical percussive sort of thing. Just 2 notes. That's all it took to know somebody's about to be turned into alien soup.
Yes.
And the fact that it's like not, it's the horror is also the fact that they're stuck and they're like it's not instant death.
No,
it's
a fly trap.
They're willing to keep on walking in pursuit of. They're like, they must just be zonked out of their minds at a certain point, and this like just to keep walking into that.
I know, you don't even look around.
Well, and you don't. Is that what it actually looks like to them, or is that just a visual representation of that? Like that's the other thing that's like left open.
You don't see any like look of shock or fear on their face until they're finally submerged.
Just their face above, almost. And
it's so creepy, and I like it.
I think they did a good job of showing the beginning, just white emptiness, void, versus like just the black void too. I feel like that was a really smart way to do that, within a movie.
Yeah. Especially sci-fi.
You see that sort of thing. Like it had an impact of like later Stranger Things did that for the whatever part of that world was, but they did that. I saw Stranger Things. I don't remember it. Seen it
ever since like 2001: A Space Odyssey.
Yeah.
It really is like the progenitor of all of those sorts of shots, anyways.
But the black void with the water and all that, like that's very sort of interesting and unique and like endless in how it looks.
Yeah.
But it's a really great effect, and simple as well. I don't know how difficult it was to pull off that, but it seems pretty. It's very sleek and simple looking.
No doubt.
I don't know if there's any other notes you had, but yeah, I love like I said, the non-actors. I love whenever it can sort of seem natural and everything, and like it makes her sort of stick out more.
What did you think of her sartorial decisions in this movie? Like, she had some fashion sense for an alien.
It was all stolen off the one person, so I mean, I don't know.
She went to the mall.
Oh, yeah, true.
To the mall.
Yeah,
she
true.
bought.
Very true.
whoever she stole the clothes from apparently had a purse and a wallet too.
Right,
things
very
worked
true.
out for the best for her.
That was the costuming for her is interesting.
Yeah.
I mean, it makes her stick out even further. Like,
Mhm.
but yeah.
She's in Scotland wearing a Canadian tuxedo.
It still worked. It
No
seems
doubt.
secondary to like it almost didn't matter because
Yeah.
it's still ScarJo. You know?
Yeah,
True.
exactly. That's sort of the point, I think, is that, she is so unbelievably attractive from like another world that like it is this sort of that plays into it, of course.
Yep.
Yeah.
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 They definitely do the whole like near perfect sort of trap for straight dudes.
Mm-hmm.
Well, it's that and the fact that like if they had populated the movie with other movie stars and other actors and everything, but they populate it with like normies, just people that, like,
It wouldn't feel as real.
Yeah, and so I think that also
Yeah.
you're able to visualize that a lot more of like I mean just that's
Professional makeup, hair,
Yeah.
skincare
Right.
routine, probably diet.
Mm-hmm.
What do you all think of the scene like later on in the movie where instead of like the leering shots onto men, like you get the leering shots onto women for almost no reason, it seems like at first. But if I remember right, this was a scene that came very shortly after she stared really hard into the mirror and let the disfigured man go.
Mm-hmm.
And so like not too long after that, you get the shots of all the women that seems like it's this predatory gaze to start out. And you're like, oh, is she going to like start hunting women for some reason who I'm completely beyond me. But no, she's trying to become a woman. And she's really intent on like, what are they acting like? What do they like? Oh, they must like chocolate cake. Let me try chocolate cake. This is horrible. So yeah, it's interesting. Just in terms of like this almost sort of coming of age or like, yeah, like this is, I have a body. I'm conscious of this body. Like body terror is definitely a theme in this movie. Yeah. Kind of, I like that idea in the second half of the movie, even if the second half of the movie was not nearly as good as the first half for me personally.
I think that's where it kicks in the sort of themes that like I think in the point of the film. So
Yeah.
I did like the second half because I think there's a lot of internal things that she's working through that I think it was very, very fascinating, like you said.
It's funny, like misreading and misinterpreting stuff. I think it's pretty fertile creative ground. But at first, when I was watching the end, towards the ending of this movie, I mistook the woodsman, the logger guy, for the motorcycle guy for a little bit, like during the scene where Scarlett Johansson was getting like assaulted and her clothes ripped off and stuff. And I thought it was like the motorcycle guy punishing her for something, or it's like some alien retribution or justice. When all actuality, no, it's just your standard bog fare sexual assault. So yeah, I thought it would be a much more interesting story if the conflict between the motorcyclist and the alien were actually like put into the movie. But
yeah,
that was like always unresolved, and it's a cool way to end with that unresolved. I appreciate that. But I don't know.
I think they just start to humanize her or just have like those internal kind of dialogues with herself, maybe that we're, personifying or whatever, and placing our human experience on, to the point just to build you up to the end, I think, for that final blow at like your empathy,
Yep.
And I think they did that well. And like you were saying, I think all the patterns kind of all clicked in the second half of the film, and there's nothing left but to explore maybe her inner world in a sense, and then it just all gets taken away.
Yep.
And then like, why did she go to the Highlands? Like, what was that ever really explained? Did I miss that?
Like
I don't
just
remember.
It's funny. It kind of reminds me of like somebody who's just gone through intense trauma, and they're just running to escape and leaving just whatever situation they find themselves in because they can never experience like enough kind of like, I don't know how you put it, inner peace, or
kind of similar to
resolve.
What the Czech, because she was like, why Scotland to him? And I think even just why, I mean, a location in general, why is she there in Scotland? And it's also a good question, but yeah.
I thought that she was running away from the biker, I guess, and just like into the random woods, to find other people, but maybe just farther away. I don't know.
Yeah, that whole fog scene was interesting too.
Yeah, it's a great scene.
Beautiful. Yeah, I really liked it a lot with how. I thought the second half was pretty. I thought it was pretty strong. I don't know. Anything else you guys want to explore?
Go watch it. It's good. I've been recommending it since watching it, and I really enjoyed it. I think it's a nice little gem of movies that people don't necessarily probably know about. So
I think the ideas are good enough and the experience is good enough. Like watching it as a movie that I could recommend it. I would say if you're a vibe person and if you're a horror person, like all in. If you are like a big plot or story kind of person, like set your part of your brain at the door and just like go in and enjoy it. And ain't Scarlet pretty, everybody? So
it's I mean, if I had any criticism, it is a little dry at times, but it's intentionally so. I mean, it is a slow burn intentionally.
The minimalism and just like the lingering shots are just perfect. I mean, I've never been so entranced by, again, a minute and a half of somebody eating a single bite of chocolate cake.
Right.
Or just staring into a mirror, emotionless, seemingly. At first,
the effect at the end, I did because we didn't talk about that, and I never really heard people talk about that of where she removes her skin, and that whole is an insane effect, and it's an amazing. If I struggle to come up with something that's as shocking and provocative. Like that is a insane effect, and it sticks with you in a way. That's pretty.
There's a lot of mastery of filmmaking in just craft.
And the fact that movie, she wasn't harming the guy, and then he decides to do that. It breaks your heart. It does. But she's also, she's done these horrible things. But it's like,
true. It's like, why are we empathizing at the same time? But it's still, I don't know.
And then why were you empathizing early on with the men too? They seem to be awful, but you did feel a little bit awful for them in situations. Like it's kind of does this twofold where it shows that I think there's humanity in everyone. That's or at least you should feel sorry for in these set of circumstances that. Whole thing, but it's also
she's not picking up any serial killers.
That we know.
Yeah. So well, okay, I will go around. Would you recommend this movie, and what would you rate it? We'll start with you, Spencer.
I would recommend it. I think all of the kind of drier moments and slower moments all are rewarded at the end, and eventually just by the special effects and, like you were saying, the arresting visuals at the very, very end. And I would recommend it. I think it's a good horror movie, sci-fi movie that if you're already interested in those genres, go ahead, just pull the trigger. It's good. So I would rate it like an 8.8. 8.8.
8.8.
I think it.
Harrison, would you recommend this movie, and what would you rate it?
In emoji terms.
I didn't know there were options.
Yeah, we leave it open in however anyone ever wants to rate it. So we appreciate people not doing emojis at this point.
Right, it's true. I would rate it like 3 slices of cake.
Okay.
3 slices of
uneaten cake.
On a 4 slice scale.
Okay.
3 out of 4 cakes.
Yes.
Okay. I have your cakes on the screen now.
Nice.
Oh, I Messed them
You have
up.
to throw one up. That's the fourth.
The fourth cake.
Fourth slice.
And would you recommend
The fourth emoji is someone vomiting.
Yes. Ratioed.
So would you recommend this movie? Did you say it would specifically?
I would.
Yeah.
I would. I'd recommend it.
Yeah, I would recommend this movie too. I mean, I think you have to know what type of movie you're getting into. It is a slower burn, and I don't think I was 100% in the right mind space for it when I watched it, but I appreciate it now a little bit more whenever I sort of saw the whole picture there, and I do wish I was in a little bit better of a space to have really gotten into this movie, but I do highly recommend this movie a lot.
Do you need a motivational letter from the director, or how do we get you in that headspace, Cade?
Is there a ritual or no? Movie watching ritual? No. Okay, just me. Got it.
Yeah, I don't know what it would be. I gave this movie a white van.
So light some candles, have a good cry.
Right.
And,
yes.
Yeah, I just needed to be focused and ready, and I think half tired, so I was like in and out. I'm like, okay, I just needed to focus this a little bit more. But yeah, no, I really did like it a lot. I thought it was very interesting. I think it checked all the boxes of like being visually very interesting. Great performances.
the full frontal nudity helps.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Of normies too.
Yeah, normies too. Yeah, I agree. I think all around it did help. Then just what it was saying. I thought the themes, like I watched a movie for that. I thought that was very, very interesting, and I don't even think you really scratched the surface with what's all there, because there's a lot really richly there.
I love that there was like no communication between the aliens, or presumably the motorcycle guy is also an alien, but just like there's no inner story, there's no like underlying kind of secret that an audience gets, but the other characters in the movie don't get. Like, I love that perspective, and I think that's a really good way of doing storytelling. I appreciate that part.
Yeah. No, yeah, I thought, it was, I would very much recommend you to watch it. It's on HBO Max. So if you got HBO, watch it. I had something else, but I forgot what I was going to say. So
if not, contact any of us. We'll let you borrow our accounts and watch it.
Right.
So.
Yeah.
Say your password on the screen.
We're
3, 2.
good
No, I'm kidding.
Fido 1.
Yeah. Well, I did want to mention another movie like with non-actors that's also very surreal and interesting. I have right here that I recommend when it comes up. Computer Chess.
I'm not seeing that.
It's one that
I thought you were going to recommend something by John Waters. Non-actors.
Yeah.
Eggs.
Yeah, I this is one of my favorite movies, and I don't ever hear anyone ever talk about it. And it is all non-actors, and it's dark and complex and interesting, and but it's called Computer Chess. So check it out if you haven't ever seen that. But I just wanted to recommend that as another option for it's different, but it's interesting. That's interesting.
If you don't like actors, but you like non-actors, it's the movie for you.
Yeah. No. Okay, great. Well, we're going to head into our intermission time, and then we'll come back for our next movie, which is Upstream Color, also from 2013.
I'm sorry. You need to do the outro appropriately.
Yes, and I will give the plot of that movie after this little
There was a plot?
intermission.
Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. It's intermission time. All these delicious treats are waiting for you at the refreshment stand. Delicious fresh popcorn, ice-cold cola, and candy you know and love. They're all ready for you now, so you won't have to miss any of the feature. Come and get them.
And now, on with the show.
Great. Now I'm going to give the plot of Upstream Color. I'm leaning over here to my shot because it's over to the side. So Upstream Color tells.
It's on your good side.
It's on my good side. Thank you. It looks natural in camera, but in person it probably looks a little crazy that I'm leaning over here like this. But this tells the story of a woman. Her name is Chris. She gets I don't know. She gets attacked, and then a worm gets put in her, a larva of a worm, and she
through a medical mask.
Through a medical
It's
mask,
force
The
feed her
respirator.
water.
Yes. So then she gets this worm, and then this guy. I guess this worm has effects, and it makes her. I wish I would have prepared.
This character's name that's about to come into play. Well, he's called the Thief, and then later on we meet the Sampler. But we're at the Thief part of the story.
The Thief, because I guess this gives you easily suggestibility of some sort, and it allows you to. So he. Do you want to explain it, Harrison?
This is your part of the movie. This is
You were doing such a
your show, Cade. Your show. I will say, attempting to explain the plot of Upstream Color.
It's already hard.
It's one of the most convoluted and tiring sorts of stories I've encountered for quite some time. The Thief happens to be someone who works for some kind of rare flower botanist flower company, who knows, and they harvest this like biological agent, this like blue stuff off of these flowers, and some of these worms like chomp up all of this blue stuff, and then out of nowhere you ingest it, and anyone can suggest anything and you'll believe it. So this thief starts out ingeniously enough. My head is made of the same material as the sun, so she can never look at him, never knows what he looks like. Then he proceeds to have her transcribe like every page of Walden and fold it up into these crazy rings. These paper rings happen to be something that the thief throws away at the very start of the film, and you're like, oh, is he coming from a birthday party? You know, what happy thing is happening? No, in reality, he's scamming people and having them hypnotized and going to their bank and taking out $35,000 home equity loans. So there's a thief, and she wakes up.
I'm so glad you're doing this, Harrison.
What can I say? She wakes up and she like gorges herself on food because she had this like spell lifted from her that said all you have to do is drink water and you're not going to be ever tired or hungry. Oh, the wall's crumbling down. Now, all of a sudden she's hungry. She must have not eaten for like 10 days because she's just like pouring everything in the fridge into her mouth and just like throwing wrappers and like leftover tins just on the floor and stuff. And then she wakes up the next day with food smeared across her mouth, and all of these worms are like
that effect.
This worm is like crawling under her skin on her arm and her leg. What the hell is going on
with that
there?
budget? I don't know how. I really do not know how they did that effect.
That's
That's the effect shot of the movie, I think.
Yeah,
$50K one shot right there, and the sun head in the beginning.
Right? What was the name of this director again? I forget. Carruthers.
That's a good question. Carmuth or something. Right? Shane
Carmuth.
Carmutherson.
Yeah.
We were saying earlier, he must have had some blackmail attempts or
some favors to cash.
Favors to cash in. He knew some Hollywood secrets to get all that done for $50,000.
My favorite thing is that Steven Soderbergh told. This is a part of his bio on Wikipedia. Steven Soderbergh told Entertainment Weekly, "I view Shane as the illegitimate offspring of David Lynch and James Cameron."
Interesting.
Those aren't the two directors I would suggest.
No.
I could see Lynch maybe, but
to me,
and so he felt very strong. He's like, "That's going in my bio."
Yeah, for real. Yes, well, that's his own perception. To me, it's honestly, God.
Okay, so after that, she finds worms in her skin, and she cuts them open, tries to get rid of these worms.
Yeah.
It doesn't work, so then she goes to this guy who's a or some. How does that happen?
His character's name is the Sampler.
Yeah.
And he starts out by dropping some portable stereo equipment for like shows or whatever, and he plays this weird kind of droning sound that attracts her to, after she's stabbed herself, mind you, to his van where he does like mobile surgery on her and this pig, where he's
This is the movie we watched, guy.
literally drinking milk of the poppy during surgery, as he's extracting this like 30 foot long worm out of her body into a pig.
To what end? We really don't know to what end. Really,
well, it's strongly implied that the soul or essence of this person is like transplanted into the pig.
But why would he want to do that?
So he could visit their lives.
Oh, okay.
Because you see him like kneeling next to a pig, and then he's suddenly like transported into.
So you think that's what he gets out of it?
He's just sampling other people's lives. He's the sampler.
Okay. Harrison just takes it as like a normal thing then.
Yeah, totally. This is the most internally consistent movie I have ever seen. It's like here's the comparison. It's not David Lynch meets James Cameron. It's not. It's like
It's like Encounters of the Third kind of.
Imagine Stanley Kubrick was kidnapped by Neil Breen. And Neil Breen was like, I want Stanley Kubrick to execute my vision.
Do it.
At gunpoint.
Yes.
That's how convoluted this movie was. And I've never seen that many jump cuts
My God.
crammed into a single movie.
Yeah.
Yes. Jarring.
Yeah. There are shots that like sequences for like go on for like 10 minutes where like no shot lingers more than like 3 seconds.
Yes.
And honestly, I'm appreciating that we're bleeding the description of the plot into our discussion, because there's no other way to keep track of this movie.
Yes.
Like, you have to actually go, is this what happened with other people
say it
to
out loud.
understand what's going on with it? It's that screwed up.
Just vague too. And
Totally.
I thought they were like making connections to like as the sampler, like with all of his like music equipment and audio equipment, and
He's
just
like
trying to
dropping
like, sample
rocks
life. Yes.
into like tunnels, like
Yes.
making these like metal file scraping sounds. There are so many scenes in this movie that just deserve to be cut completely.
Their own short films.
They are their own experimental failures of scenes. And yet, no, he's like, it's like Neil Breen was like, realize every one of my stupid visions.
Well, so what's the script of something like this? It's like anytime I see a movie like I'm always like, how do you script something like that?
There was some YouTube video that actually had like a couple of pages of the script for,
Oh,
I don't know
really?
which one of his movies it was, but I just got a little glimpse of it and I was like, okay, yeah, this is really screwed up. It follows filmic script format. Like it is,
Interesting.
it follows the 1 minute per page kind of look and feel of it. But yeah, no, it's
Because there's very little dialogue. That's the other thing
Right.
about this movie.
Yeah.
For people, most people probably have not seen this movie.
well, yeah.
There's very little dialogue in this
You
movie.
get a whole lot of exposition and almost like stage directions, like this appears, then that appears, and it morphs into this, and then we cut to this. So
Because it would have to be a lot of cut to, cut to, cut to, cut to.
yeah,
So there's dialogue. I mean, this is later in the thing, but there's dialogue where like it's changes locations, like within conversations. The two people are then in a different conversation in a different location, and
and they're
start to
arguing
blend.
for a good 5 minutes over this childhood friend who
both-
like nearly drowned them in the pool. Or
We're
she
getting
had
ahead
to-
of ourselves. We're at the pig scene. So
Yeah.
Okay, so the pig scene. They tag the pig. It
Yes.
has her name on it, and
Yep.
so all the other pigs you surmise are other
Are other
patients or
people.
victims.
Yeah.
There's lots, like 30
There are
or
a lot.
40, you know.
Yeah.
Yeah.
He's a very successful surgeon.
I wonder. Well, I wonder if, I don't know, maybe this is like, I don't know. Now I'm philosophizing to the end a little bit, but they like, when he puts the pigs back into the bag, you know, like I wonder if that's supposed to be like a symbolic, you know, like back to the earth, kind of, we took it from you, now you're going back to like start that same cycle that they're wanting to perpetuate.
It is that life cycle thing. Like, I mean, you don't get it. It starts out, it's funny because I really like that idea.
You were well ahead of me with that one. I'm like, wait, where's that?
It's kind of the
like identity blurring into nothingness and then back again, you know?
It's the idea that probably animates and motivates this film the most, which is just like the interconnectedness of biology and life and what have you. And there are so many shots to that effect of just like close-up microscope like shots of these cells just kind of being obliterated in this blue goop, or sorry to the audience out there, decomposing pigs, having their like guts kind of spill out, and it's just this blue substance that was all over the plants to begin with. They end up being Upstream Color.
Yeah, right.
Jumping ahead quite a bit here.
And they talk about it in the quote too, from the book that they make them.
Well, we still haven't even got to the fact of where the director shows up in the movie and his character.
Let's delay that for a second, because the sampler with the pigs in the bag, it's so like, he's even like dragging him out over by the railroad tracks, and you're just like, is this like stereotypical comic cartoon villain like going to strap the bag of pigs onto the tracks? No, he's doing this other stereotypical cartoonish villain thing. He's drowning a bag of not puppies but piglets. It's such a trope, but it turns into like a really cool idea. And this may be one of the few saving graces of this movie. My goodness. Let's go back to Shane showing up in the movie with what's the woman's name? Erica or Eric or Kyrie? I don't know.
Chris
is the main, her character's name.
Chris.
So she returns back. She loses her job.
She's gone for 10 days.
Because she's been gone. She
like,
doesn't have any she has no memory.
I had the flu.
So So she loses it. They're like, okay, well that's not enough. That's not a good enough excuse. You're fired.
Did my friend not call?
But to her credit, she does not remember any of the stuff that's happened to her. And so she loses her job. She doesn't have any money because of the whole situation with the what was it? The thief? Is that what they called him?
The thief. And she gets a job with the printing company, and she's very grateful and fortunate to have the job. She gets on the train, and all of a sudden, hunky Mr. Shane comes rolling in, and he looks at her, and she's like, not another loser or whatever. And just like the most actively angsty, I don't want to be with a person right now. I take these pills. I was diagnosed a year ago. Let's save ourselves 3 or 4 weeks. And she never says what she's diagnosed with. She's just like, pills. And Shane's like, ew, let's hide these. Medicine's awful. Doctors don't know anything. Scientology's amazing. Yeah. So that happened. But then it's boy meets girl.
Yes.
I feel like he was very like aggressive in pursuing her. Like, but I couldn't get I got the feeling that in the beginning when they first see each other that maybe she had recognized him from the house.
What? You've never had anyone like use the pickup line on you? I have to like, I'm 4 trains in front of you.
Right.
I'm calling you and you're not picking up. So I have to wait 4 trains. You're making me late to work.
Go out with me.
Jerk who I like. Answer your phone.
Yeah.
So the way they characterize this, so this is the crux of the movie, by the way, well into the movie. This is the point of the movie is these two. Like the synopsis that you get is these two strangers, they find themselves intertwined because of this parasite That's sort of that's the statement.
Yep.
And this comes, I mean, I guess if you view all of that as what we've already explained as the first act of the movie, that's an incredibly long first act.
Well,
Well, does it ever end?
let's bring this back up towards the end of the movie because I have a point to make, but I don't want to make it right here. Okay. But yeah, their lives are intertwined, and they are like completely dysfunctional human beings who, through no faults of their own, he apparently attributes whatever he did, stealing money from his company, to some illegal drug that he just woke up one day and he's like, I don't remember any of it, but I must have done something terrible.
And I
and
got
like,
rid of all, same story as
Yeah.
her.
Yeah.
Divorced.
Yeah, I got rid of all my assets.
Yep.
And I had these holes in my arm.
Yep. So
Totally
And
drug
ankle.
thing.
Yeah. And
he
ankle.
lives in a hotel and just fertile ground for love.
He definitely should have hired an actor, right?
Yeah.
Maybe that's why the budget was so low.
I mean, his performance was like, I'm so nervous making this movie right now. I have so many things to do. Like, I'm dreaming up the next storyboard while I'm filming this scene of myself.
Maybe like plays into like the blurring of identity
Yeah.
that happens
He
within the film. You know,
he retcons his character later. Someone with a very important internal, like, I don't know, thing going on, but there's so much under the surface.
It does seem like he's constantly like, thinking of other things. Yeah.
yeah.
I would pay good money to see his character just like. Yep.
Yeah.
So they fall in love, I guess, or whatever. That's the
Kind of, I guess.
kind of, yeah.
Yep.
They're just kind of codependent and have.
And these scenes are
other.
the scenes that are like 5 seconds long, and then these dialogue scenes where they're like cutting back and forth to each other. They're cutting between.
There are 5-minute stories that happen in 300 scenes.
Yes. Yes.
Yes.
It reminded me kind of like the Sunshine or the Spotless Mind.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Sorry. Sunshine and
Yes.
Spotless Mind.
That yes. It reminded me of that, but without
Technically.
without knowing like the company, you know, or any of that, like just the
Yeah.
blurring and kind of the really jarring jump cuts.
But
And
seriously,
Shane's
though,
character was inspired by Jim Carrey, so I hear.
So again, from a scripting perspective, did they write out all those scenes and then like shoot them all in different locations and then cut them all together? And like has to be how they had to do it.
Yeah,
It's like they had to have had that
I hope.
scene. I hope they didn't go to a location, shoot it for all of like 5 seconds, and then move to another location.
Well, to be fair, it did seem like the characters understood the story as they were like explaining it in 20 different areas. So like whatever happened, they knew kind of like from one place to the next the story was going. It's because it's supernatural and sci-fi. What this childhood story about, like, oh, I'm swimming or I'm sliding down bird poop. Oops, turns into this like identity crisis where was that my childhood or your childhood? Like, why are we blending our like past memories into each other? And they get really upset with each other
Yeah.
about it.
Yes.
And yet they still like each other. And then one day she thinks she's pregnant.
Okay, so yes, we're gonna talk about that. So
Yes.
this whole time that they are connected to these pigs. I don't think we ever said that really. They are connected to these pigs that exists on the sampler's farm. And so there's this connection that she has because the pig that's her pig that has her worm in it, it becomes pregnant. And so she thinks she's pregnant. And she goes to a doctor. They say, no, you're not. And that also you had
Stage 3.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
You had cancer. And so, but yeah. And that she didn't know that and everything, or yeah, because I guess her memories are.
Your
Wiped.
trauma means you can't have babies, and then like little stereotypical tear in this otherwise unstereotypical movie.
Right.
Yeah. It's awful. But it's so we have the
Pills are bad. Being unable to make babies is bad.
I mean, they never fully say like if you never really know if like she had the cancer before, you know, or if like it was already resolved before she gets abducted or not.
It seemed like a total misdiagnosis of like what a worm that was supernatural and like
5 of them in your body at one time could attack
exactly.
all the different
Like,
areas.
Something like that. But I mean, it felt sort of forced to give that sort of diagnosis that seemed just so blatantly wrong from a viewer's perspective. But, you know, certainly it could be clues that would lend towards such a diagnosis. You just don't know. Yeah. It's just like, these are doctors talking to each other about why does this crazy woman think she's pregnant here?
Yeah. The nurse was like, I don't know how do we help these people that are people that are like this that don't realize, you know?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
So yeah, well, as it turns out, her lucky pig and his lucky pig have lucky pig babies, and they try to escape the pig farm. And his neighbor's like, "Hey, you know, I know some people who are trying to buy some piglets for their petting zoo." But this guy's like, "Thank you. No, I got to go complete the circle of life here." Yeah. And yep. This
okay.
Parasite food.
So just to be, I think we're making this seem a lot more like understandable. I don't know.
We are.
Yeah.
Because it's very
It's so obtuse. It's so big, so obtuse. I mean, there are these scenes that just do not correlate with anything, especially in like the second third of the movie. So for starters, you get this couple that's like seems like a lower class sort of working like couple. This guy with a beard, and it starts out with him like, oh, his wife like got transported to the hospital or something. Does she take any drugs? No. Does she have anything wrong with her asthma?
Right.
And then they just like go into
this
stupid super cut of him leaving for work, I guess, every morning.
Back in time.
I hope today goes better for you. I hope, and none of this leads anywhere.
No payoff.
Well, they're somehow connected to the pigs, right?
They must be.
Well, there's all those like 30 people in the room when she's leaving the house. That I wonder if that was like an attempt. Right.
That shot is insane.
Yes.
It's one of those weird shots that like
who knows?
Where there's just these people, like it's just focused on her, but there's just people like looking, staring at walls, and like they're out of focus, and it's. I love that shot.
I do too. I wonder if that was an attempt to like try to like explore that there are others doing similarly weird.
Well, so it's intercut.
You know, I don't know, but
that whole thing is intercut with pigs too, because everything.
Yes, everything. Pigs or worms.
Yeah.
Oh my god.
So I do think that they were saying that they were there. This was another pig.
Yeah,
pig person.
their psyches are, but they had no plot. It was just they're angry at each other, and they probably are kind of poor, and they're having like, I hope today's better for you, 20 times.
So, anyways, he kills the piglets. I don't know if and then they're dumped into the water, and we hinted at this before.
Cartoon villain style, like you said.
Yep. The name of this sampler's recording company is Quinoa Valley Recording Company. Like,
I forget, yes.
The most granola shit like I've ever even come. Like, there are a few more comical fictional names.
Exotica plants.
This film.
So these piglets decompose, and they
are harvested by these backpackers who turn out to be like
they're not harvested. They're what's in them. It goes
the orchids.
The orchids. So this essence or whatever, or this worm, decomposed or whatever that was a part of them or something, it goes upstream to these orchids that turns these orchids bright color blue, and that those worms or those larvae somehow in them, and that's whenever they're harvested by these backpacker who sell these orchids. So that is the quote unquote upstream color of the movie.
Right. Yeah. It reminded me of some of like the extreme lengths that people will treat silkworms, you know, for like really nice silk. And same with that like cat-like creature that eats coffee, you know, and they like just pamper it its entire life. And so it eats the coffee beans and then poops it out. And then it's like the most expensive
It ferments the coffee bean.
And you know, like but I mean, this was still like a way more.
It's not any weirder than yogurt.
Yes, true. Yeah.
Thematically, this movie is about these cycles and these things, and and how people.
This movie sure is a petri dish. Huh?
Yeah, it's vegan. No, not vegan.
Oh my gosh.
I do think there's something to be said about like sort of profiting off of nature.
Right.
Don't exactly
to what lengths?
A little bit.
Well, and it's like I wondered if the viewer if the viewer thinks that they cured her cancer, you know, it's like if this trade-off, like give me all of your life savings and I'll cure your cancer with this worm and then I'll kill your pig babies, you know, like I don't know if it was that's me grasping at straws, you know, just trying to like find something.
What's the
out
redeeming
of it.
quality of this 18th century surgery?
Yes, right.
Oh my gosh.
Well, I guess
get some leeches
like
out,
trade,
do some bloodletting.
It's like everything's a trade, right? You know what I mean? So I wonder if that was just like a play on that, or that's one way that you could view parts of these like seemingly just jarring cut scenes to different things, you know?
I think it's an interesting sort of view to it. I didn't really think of it that way.
And given how ambiguous everything on
right, like you could make your own meaning out of it, pull out of it pretty easily.
It's certainly possible. So where do we go from here with the plot? There's a lot of arguments, and then they decide to buy a car, and I'm going to marry you today. We're getting married now because you were missing for 3 days. Wow.
Yeah.
And so, but while that whole the babies were getting taken, all they're panicked.
Yeah, they are like super emotionally distressed for no seeming reason.
And they're where the poster of them in the bathtub, like this is from that sort of panicked state that they're in.
And here comes the next total non sequitur in the movie.
So
which
the movie's
is
not over. You think that the Upstream Color or whatever that is revealed.
There's more.
Yeah, no, that was like Act 1. That was Act 1. No, there's this high-pitched sound that supposedly she can hear in the house.
They're digging.
And they're like trying to find it everywhere. Oh, it's a low-pitched sound. It's a low and a high-pitched sound. No.
Right.
No, you. And it's like they're devolving into toddlers arguing with each other. Yeah. The man's like going out and like lumberjack style on these scrawny ass trees, just like hatcheting them down for no apparent reason. Yeah, it's so weird.
So she starts remembering things because of this Walden. Jump to there, I guess. So she's swimming, and she's I don't exactly how did she start remembering these things?
Who doesn't insert 10 minutes of Walden quotes in their movie?
She's like, I want to be alone. Again, kind of.
So she's swimming and she's remembering these things, and he's like writing them down, and then he realizes that these are Walden quotes, and then like
he reads them out to her.
And I don't know if we said this, but she was forced to write these things down because of the
transcribe Walden, and then like make these little paper rings. Yeah. And then knock over poker chips and take a sip of water.
So, to what end was that for his sake?
I think it was like just keeping the hypnosis strong. Okay. Because you can like fatigue yourself into sleep and wake up. Maybe you'll be out of hypnosis, or I feel like it's just giving her mind something to occupy itself with, because it's just like constantly going, what are my orders? What are my orders? What must I be doing? What must I be doing?
But it ends up being sort of the catalyst of how she remembers things.
Yeah.
And how they realize they have a shared experience too, and like which ones are real and which ones aren't, and that blurring of identity. And so
out of nowhere, they start driving in this crappy Volvo that they bought because they have to buy a car.
That day.
That day, just like they got married that day. Wow, they really missed out on like the wedding scene for that. Man, can you imagine who like the best man and the bridesmaids are going to be?
The ring is the paper ring. Walden quotes.
It's weird later on in the movie, you do see like they're both wearing rings.
Yeah, right.
It's weird.
We missed out on something.
But she's not wearing like any kind of stone. She's just wearing like a band. It's kind of funny.
It's hilarious is what it is.
Yeah, I know. I meant haha funny. I totally meant. So, yeah, where do they go from here? They go and they think they've made it close.
Where are we now? I don't know.
Close to the pig farm at this point.
Yes, yeah,
and
okay,
then
yes.
We're in the third act, guys.
Yes.
The jump cuts like soar into. Is somebody like making pig noises?
No.
I just thought I heard. Anyways,
Accident.
So a plot point becomes Shane's character goes to a record store and understands
they see on the
Quinoa Valley Record Company
on the mailbox.
I swear to God, I paused the movie whenever I first saw his mailbox at that weird angle where you can't really read it that well. I'm like, that does not say Quinoa Valley Record Company. That's so stereotypically stupid. Oh my God. And then an hour later, I find out it actually is that. And it has its own logo and everything. And 5 released recordings that record companies actually carry.
Just those scraping
and
noises.
Shane buys them all, puts on his headphones, turns it up. Oh, I can't take this. Oh, this is just horrible. It must be like
someone's carrying,
and you never really hear it. Like,
yeah. And then like he's not capable of anything, but
someone had to make that logo.
Right.
He had to have got somebody to
some
make
intern.
If you're right.
I like that they blurred the lines between like, is that what he's actually listening to, or is that just the ambient noises of the movie that keep happening? You know, they did a lot of good blurring. If you ever doubt
your career in art, just know that you could be making logos for Quinoa Valley Record Company.
Dark.
Yeah, that
just some guys like make this logo for me for my pig operate my. I don't even know.
I'll pay you $50. It's 1/100th of this movie's budget.
Right. Not enough.
Okay, so at this moment, like then it's like blurred again. Like she runs into the sampler, or there's the sampler's and he dies either from a heart attack or being shot.
Yeah. Chris actually listens to the same recordings, and instead of like being completely thrown off of it, she's like, I got my scent. I can track him down now. let me
Right.
Let me
Left or right.
Let me bring my gun to this dream sequence.
Right. Got like dowel rods.
Yep.
But one's the gun.
Exactly.
Trying to find the farm.
And then you realize, okay, cool, Shane's coworker's infected and all these other random people are infected. And they get Walden in the mail, like in these nice little cardboard boxes. And it's like,
well, he does that, right? To
brain, I don't know.
Yeah.
Enlightenment activated, and you're a pig, and you transcribed Walden.
I just wish that they had in the mail a letter that just says you're a pig.
Surprise!
They're like, oh my God, I am a pig. I've been waiting for someone to
dropped all fours in the office building.
I've been feeling this for a long time. I just needed it to be sent to me in the mail.
That would be a superb Bill Murray type scene.
Oh yeah, splinter cell activation.
Just like having him like read the letter.
I would love just that the slow build. The entire movie leads to someone opening a letter that says you're a pig and them crying.
It's Bill Murray.
Yeah.
Yep. Oh my God.
I knew it. I always knew.
Full circle. No.
And now 30 people are running a commune pig farm.
Yes.
Yes, that's where the movie ends.
And that's like these suits open the place up. because maybe they got a judgment in their favor, because then maybe they lawyered up or something. I don't know. After involuntary surgery, I tend to do the same thing.
Of course.
Yeah. So
these people are operating this pig farm.
And for some reason, it's a big deal that they're painting the place yellow.
And these are all people who are attached to these pigs in some sort of way.
Yeah, and they must have all had the same friend who tried to drown them in a pool when they were 6.
Yeah. And that's the movie. And
imagine a dinner party where everyone has the same childhood story.
And they're all mad about it.
Yeah. That's my story. Did you hear that somewhere?
They'll fight about it.
Yeah.
Yeah. Mm.
Well, that's the movie we watched.
Yeah.
And now you now know that's Upstream Color.
Yep.
So this after we describe the plot, now we get to talk about do we like the movie or not? Now that we've spent
in case our listeners and viewers at home don't know our opinion about this movie yet, we are officially at the part where we share our feelings about the movie.
We were holding back.
Yeah, we were holding back.
Before.
What a relief. What a relief.
I feel like it was a frustrating watch for me. Just if you didn't already get that. It had a lot of non sequiturs that felt like they didn't have a big payoff, and I don't know. I really enjoyed all the auditory effects of the movie that they explored, even though it was kind of random. I still thought it was unique to a movie. I wish they had tied that more together. I know what they did with the record, Quinoa Valley Recording Company, but even further, I don't know.
Isn't that so in it? Like, as an idea, so fascinating to have a villain who is a
pig farmer.
Yeah, a pig farmer who takes worms out of people's bodies and swaps them and makes them connected to these pigs.
Right.
And he makes
also
music.
Happens to be like a sweet ass experimental audio pioneer.
Right.
Check out my 1950s mics that I'm using to scrape metal.
That is I can't come up with a better idea of a villain that exists than that, and yet it comes off so boring and so pretentious and so without
the scene where he's caught. I think it looked like Shane was eating some kind of quinoa kale salad or something, and it's this is the portal into your soul where I can shoot you or give you a heart attack. So I'm eating kale and quinoa.
Right. It was also kind of soft.
It was a it was a magical grain in 2013, I will say. It captured the American imagination and Shane. And Shane
directly.
That was the best product placement I could imagine for I'm done. I'm sorry.
I guess I'll say the movie no, I mean it was a chore to watch. It was a chore to watch. At the end of the day, I like the idea of the movie, but the execution is a choice. It's a choice that I can't get behind. Yeah. But I mean I kind of like the themes. But I hated the two main characters a lot. Yeah.
It's funny.
The main actress did a really good job.
Yes.
Yeah, she did do quite a good job. In fact, the range of her character and just throughout all the weird stuff that happens to her, that's a believable human emotion that you would have in that sort of experience, in that sort of situation. And it's unbelievable how how coherent her character is, despite the incoherence of the entire film.
Yes.
If you just viewed it through her, it was a through line that you completely understood, where all the other stuff was hard to follow. You understood her in the scene and her feelings.
Yeah.
Which is hard for an actor.
Yeah.
She understood her character to a T. It's maybe the least lovable couple in any movie I have ever seen ever.
I think he does a detriment to the movie by being in it. I do. I have 3 notes in there for this entire movie because I was just trying to follow the thing.
Right. Grab onto anything.
I mentioned how those worms on her skin were that's an insane effect, and
Yeah.
I loved it, and it was creepy, and it was awful, and I hated it, but I
Yeah.
also loved it. And then I think he should have hired an actor for the lead role. That was one of the notes, and then also the notes about these quick cuts.
Yep.
But yeah,
Yep.
I do think he did do some damage to the movie by being the lead actor in that.
His performance was just very jarring and like unnecessarily aggressive. It felt like,
Yep.
and the whole time, like suspense. I just want suspense, But it was just felt hard to watch, like forced in a lot of ways.
Funny, if you followed his career after this movie, you would go, oh, that unchecked like weird aggression.
Yeah.
That makes sense. Oh wow, some domestic violence in his life.
Oh, is that a thing?
Oh, I didn't.
Yeah.
I wasn't aware. So it checks
Apparently a
out.
thing. Yep. Checks out.
I know that he's had trouble making anything after this just because projects keep falling through and stuff. Yeah. And he has these huge ideas and they fall through.
Doesn't seem like he takes criticism very well.
Might pop in the chat and be like, hey. You guys don't know. Yeah, I don't know.
Okay, so do you have any buddies in the witness protection program?
I mean, like I said, the idea is very fascinating. Like,
Yeah.
and in what it's saying, like I do think there's something interesting to be said. Like I do like that they don't spell it out to you, sort of what the point of the film is. I think that's interesting, and there is some sort of statement on nature and exploitation.
I'd like to see what you could do with that idea in film.
Yeah.
In one of your movies, Cade. What's your spin on the pig farm?
Right.
Like, that is such a fun concept within a film that is devoid of any fun.
Yeah.
That is an insane idea of that character. The sampler character is an insane
Villain.
Absolutely insane. Yeah, like really is a cartoonishly evil kind of villain.
But the performance is completely straight.
Yes.
Like there's no new. It's just like bland. The guy who's playing it's just a bland performance.
For as convoluted and unnecessarily oblique and vague and stupid as so much in this movie was,
Yes.
the couple being so awful together makes sense in the context of what if you were stuck on a pig farm with only the same pigs every day.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
And you were like trapped together.
Yes.
They felt like a couple who was trapped together.
Yeah.
Yeah, I do think that.
True.
Yeah. Yeah. I wish I understood his character at all.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Because I do not.
Hard to decipher.
Yeah. In a movie where it's like about the pair, I did not understand his character in the slightest.
How did he even get kicked out of his job? Like
Right.
he just shows up in a scene where he's carrying like a box of papers and he like knocks it over. And
I mean, essentially his is
beats
just like,
up his
I'm in the same
coworkers.
situation as you. Like
Right.
that's the whole of it. And I'm like, that's not interesting. Or yeah.
yeah.
Yeah. Yeah.
Any other notes you guys have about this movie? Harrison, we didn't get you to say if you like the movie.
Did I like it? No. No, I did not like this movie. I like making fun of it. I think it's a great movie to make fun of.
To be fair, this is it's almost universally loved. There are some people who really do hate it. But upon its release at Sundance, it received a huge, like, people really liked it.
Really?
At one point it was said that it was trending higher than the actual Sundance Film Festival on Twitter whenever it was released. And it's,
I would not have guessed that.
Sock puppet accounts, man. Sock
Bots.
puppet, yeah,
Bots. No.
totally. I mean, I can see like the film industry liking it because of just how many risks,
and I've never seen
risks that he
Primer,
took.
and so people really liked Primer.
Yeah, sure.
It seemed vague for vague's sake, though, in a lot of ways, which maybe gets applauded.
Sure.
Prematurely, who knows? But maybe that it doesn't age very well. I mean, I might have had a different opinion in 2013, but I don't know. It was just hard. It was just hard to follow the entire time, and
it does ask a lot of of your audience, and then for you to even now through like us talking, like I understand plot wise, I think a little bit even more than the movie, but still the end goal. I mean, for what it's saying, it didn't need to be told in that way.
Yeah.
It really didn't need. There was nothing saying that it needed to be told in that fashion.
What's the pig farmer's end game? Like,
what's
what
any
is,
of these people's end? What's
what
the
is
thief's
his
end game?
motivation? It's so
Maybe they all get a
insane.
cut of the home equity.
Yeah,
You know?
apparently.
Like it's a whole system.
She's
maybe.
writing
Who
a lot of
knows?
checks.
Yeah.
I mean,
yeah, right. Maybe that was all to different people. Who knows?
he's not a thief. He's just payroll.
Right.
Yeah, I mean, I mean, like, what is for a good villain to understand? Like, what is the point of him? I mean, you did said it was possibly so that he could get a view into other people's lives,
Sampling their lives. Yeah.
Right.
I wouldn't have ever got that out. I don't really know what his point is, because it wasn't to just have pigs.
No.
Because like, why did he kill the piglets? Was that ever really explained? Did you ever?
Just for the cycle of
you
the
think that's what it
orchids.
is? It's
I
for
think
the
so.
cycle?
Yes,
I think they were all
more victims.
more worms to put into the pigs to do it again. I don't know.
And so the orchid people, the people who harvested
It's
the
a
orchid,
virtuous cycle.
Yes. Right. It's like the sacrificial pig. I don't know.
yeah.
I feel like there had to have all been getting paid. I wish I would have counted the checks and counted how many people that we
I
saw.
hate how emotionally manipulative the drowning pig scene was, though. Like,
Yes,
there are
yeah.
so many.
So bad.
There are so many shots where you're like, oh, maybe they made it to the shore and are kind of alive,
Yeah.
and then your heart is just totally wrenched out, and you're just like, I have to watch decomposing piglets in a movie and go on a podcast about about it.
Shortly after.
Huh.
Well, do you think that Diane dodged a bullet with this one? We didn't talk about that. Diane's not on this episode.
Diane, all I have to say, I love being your understudy. Why did it have to be this week?
I would have liked to have heard her perspective on this too. That would have been interesting. But I also appreciated she wouldn't have not helped me explain the plot. So I appreciated you. She would have let me out there try to do that all myself. So
She could have a retractive review maybe
Yeah.
next time. Who knows?
Yep.
Be
Yeah.
like, just what do you think? 10 minutes.
We can splice her into the TikTok
Yeah.
recordings. It's all good.
well,
Yeah.
we have to go around. Would you recommend this, and what would you rate it? Harrison, we'll start with you since we started with Spencer last time. Would you recommend this movie, and what would you rate it?
If you have a cartoon villain as your worst enemy, you should recommend this movie to them. Stay away from this movie like The Plague or Parasites. Make sure your pets are dewormed regularly.
Right.
I would award this movie 1.5 extremely unhappy couple emojis.
Okay.
Okie dokie. Couple emoji. I'd find that one. There's a
Like
couple with a heart, but that wouldn't be them.
And then, well, they would be them and then like broken and then like one other person. It's like maybe,
Sure,
this is
very real.
some headphones or some recording equipment.
The quinoa.
Quinoa. Yeah. There you go.
Oh,
I'm
that
just-
emoji has to be hitting soon, right? The quinoa.
Yep.
Quinoa emoji.
Oh yeah.
I'm just giving you a couple visually on here.
I'll live with it.
Spencer, would you recommend this movie, and what would you rate it?
I mean, if you want to see an interesting, that's giving it too much credit. Hold on. if you want to see a very unique film, I think once, it's worth like, if you like collecting films like rare baseball cards, even if you're not into that player, this would be a good one to just view once. You've seen it, you have it under your belt. Now you can use it as like a springboard to compare other non sequitur vague movies that include their own directors. And
Like Neil Breen movies.
So I think, if you're interested in seeing a wide variety of movie, I think this is a good one just to watch once, but I wouldn't watch it again. And it was very frustrating to watch for me. But I'd probably just recommend it to very select people that are already, knee deep, neck deep in movie watching. But I wouldn't recommend it to just the casual movie watcher. But so I would rate it maybe like a 2. Really, I'm giving it most of the credit for the audio parts of it.
Yeah.
A 2 out of what?
It would be like a 1.2.
2 out of 10. 2 out of 15. No. Because I think it did approach certain things uniquely, even if there wasn't a payoff, and just asked more questions, which I'm not against films that make you ask more questions. Just this particular one was kind of hard to watch and hard to engage with.
Yep.
But yes.
Well, good. Yeah. I do like the idea. I mean, I'm at the end of the day, I'm glad I saw it for just this conversation right here.
Yes. This has helped me digest the movie more, just talking it out, honestly, because it is so, you can just grab at anything you want, and it leaves so many things left open. So yeah,
I think it really did help going part by part of what we sort of saw. And,
what a cipher of a movie.
Yes. Yes.
So at the end of the day, I'm glad I saw it. If you heard our conversation, I don't think you really need to see it.
Yeah. Yes. Would agree.
We kind of, but I don't know. At the end of the day, I'm glad I saw it. I mean, I like the idea of being able to compare it to other things and all that. I don't hate that I saw it. I think it's good. I'm happy I saw it. I've said that already, but but the experience was in particular awful. It was an awful experience watching it. So all that to say, I don't know. Watch it if you want to.
Choose your own.
If you want to have an awful experience, go for it.
Choose your own path.
Yeah. I give this movie a pig.
Out of?
Nice.
A pig out of, I don't know. Pigs.
Gotcha.
I put it over my face.
Yeah. This movie makes me go, humanity really needs a super predator to go after it. Really, for making such an abomination.
Scarlett Johansson needed to pop in at any moment.
Yep. Please give us vengeance.
Yeah, like a crossover between these where,
Yeah,
where
I enjoyed, y'all said that the villain was, so not traditional in any sense. I enjoyed that, exploration of, evil or not, and the thief, and everyone was just particularly soft,
The thief gets nothing after what he's done. So I don't know.
He gets retirement.
Yeah, well, maybe.
Home equity.
Yeah.
What club drug am I going to use now?
Yeah. Well, that has been our discussion of Upstream Color. I hope you enjoyed that. Next, we'll do preview time, and we'll preview next week's movies.
And now, preview time. When it comes to entertainment, you can't beat a good film. So let's take a look at what's coming your way.
Let's take a look at what's coming your way. Well, next week here on Double Feature Movie Club are 2 romantic comedies. So that's pretty exciting. Completely different than what we watched this time.
Whiplash.
Yeah. So we are watching, let me see here. Let me pull this up. We are watching...
When Harry Met Sally.
Should have had this ready. Vamp for a bit, Harrison. What's your favorite romantic comedy? What's your favorite romantic comedy?
I think we have a coworker who specializes in romantic comedy love, and he is When Harry Met Sally is like really at one of the top of his film list.
That's great. So here's our movies.
Vamp successful.
We are watching Plus One, which is on Tubi. Plus One is from 2018. It stars Jack Quaid. We all know him, right? The guy.
Yes.
And then the other one is The One I Love, which also another one that people really like. That it's got what's her name? It's got Elizabeth Moss and Mark Duplass in it. So that should be a good one. Ted Danson's also in that movie.
Oh wow.
Yeah. So those are our two films we're watching. Our guest that week should be Ava, who's a big fan of ours. We have on often. She likes the lighter fare, so hopefully she didn't watch the movie where the pigs die. Just hopefully.
Maybe she should. No. Contrast.
That's how you start out the next show.
So
were you looking for a palate cleanser after Upstream Color, huh? My favorite rom-com.
oh yeah.
Yeah, it's got romance in it and absolutely no comedy.
Just in the Quinoa Valley.
Yeah. No intentional comedy.
Right. Yes.
Except for Scrawny Arms McGee lumberjacking it up in the backyard.
True.
Yeah. Well, I've loved having you on, Spencer.
Thank you for having me.
Yes, we'll have to have you on again.
Yes.
I liked whenever Diane's back. And
Yes.
Diane's okay. Diane's fine. She had something she had to take care of, so Harrison jumped in, and I appreciate you doing that, Harrison.
Diana took a bullet for you.
She knew.
Yeah.
No.
I love the two times Harrison stepped in for Diane. It's been it's Upstream Color, and the other one was Beyond the Black Rainbow, and
both times like so interesting and so bad.
See, and I love Beyond the Black Rainbow.
Yeah, that's our
Cosmetics, right? Yeah.
maybe our
Yeah.
biggest critical difference of opinion. Basically, if you're a vibing Zoomer, like you'll love Beyond the Black Rainbow. If you care the slightest little bit about plot or story or characters, but if you love the 80s, there's a lot to love about Beyond the Black Rainbow, and it's got like a Boards of Canada, like electronic sort of kind of soundtrack vibe. Yeah, they're good. So. It has redeeming qualities, but it's a bad movie.
And I thought it was really, the vibes sold me completely. It starts with like this, well, not to talk about the Black Rainbow again, but it starts with like this Heaven's Gate kind of like opener, like a VHS thing, and then
straight up,
and then it's all shot on film later afterward. You know, it then turns into this really beautiful it's all takes place in like this abandoned like 1960s research institute. So it's like all this mid-century abandoned, like the sets were amazing, and I just absolutely loved it a lot. But yeah,
imagine if Patrick Bateman had no charisma. That's the lead antagonist.
But at the same time, kind of similar to Under the Skin. I mean, spoiler there, but there is he's an extraterrestrial. So, but yeah, but that's kind of an interesting thing. Both of them, Under the Skin and that movie, draw quite a lot from The Man Who Fell to Earth. That there's a lot there. One of those movies I'm glad I watched because you could sort of see it pop up a lot in those types of alien movies. Anyways, I guess, Spencer, thank you for being on here.
You're welcome.
And where can people find you again on all your stuff?
So, www.spencerplumleeart.com for my website.
That is in the description.
All of the things, my portfolio. And then my Instagram. Follow me on Instagram, spencer.plumlee, just at spencer.plumlee. So, yeah, keep up with me.
And you're on TikTok and stuff.
Yes,
yeah.
I'm on TikTok. I'm on all the socials, but all under the same name, Spencer Plumlee. It's either with a dot or no dot. Pretty much on everything, Twitter, Facebook, etc.
It's exciting, yeah. And like your art's really, really great, and I do really enjoy seeing all that you come up with there.
Thank you. I have a solo show in September.
Oh,
second
yeah, plug that,
Friday.
yeah.
So you guys should go. Seriously,
Okay.
at the studio.
Okay.
The second Friday in September, the one after Labor Day.
Okie dokie.
But yeah,
Okie dokie. And where's that exactly?
at the studio Tulsa.
Okay. Well,
So,
cool.
Yeah, I want to make new work for it, so hopefully there'll be lots of new things, and yeah, I'm excited.
That is exciting. That's very exciting.
So yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, and you can follow Double Feature Movie Club. We're on Twitter. We're on Instagram now at Double Feature MC. After this, we'll record a little TikTok 60-second reviews of that. So exciting, and look forward to that. We post that on my TikTok at the Cade Thomas, and it's also on the YouTube channel and on our Instagram. So yeah, follow that everywhere. It's exciting. Rate us whatever, 5 stars, as Diane would say. Click all the buttons. Subscribe. 5 stars. Thumbs up.
Report.
Block.
Block.
No.
All of them. Every button. To where they cancel each other all out. Yeah. Yeah, and that's you can listen to watch us live Sundays at 6 p.m. Central. My YouTube channel, youtube.com/Cade Thomas, or later as a podcast, Double Feature Movie Club, wherever you get your podcasts. Thank you both for being on here.
Thanks for having me.
Yes.
Thanks for having me.
We'll see you next week. It's The One I Love and +1. Bye.